Hello, hello.
Welcome, everybody.
So excited. Oh my gosh. Can y'all believe the school buses are back out there? And I don't know if today was like the first official day for kids in Durham, but wow, people were driving around crazy. So, when did your kids go back, Kristen?
They've been back since Monday, and the school bus situation has been a little crazy here in Forsyth County. We're in the in Winston-Salem area. Um, yeah, so I'm excited to talk about meal planning. We've got the 3 steps to simple and balanced meal planning, and especially just with back to school season, whether or not you have kids, it just feels like a good time to transition into a routine.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to share some really amazing tips with y'all today.
That's right. That's the plan. So, as always, take a moment, go grab your notebook. There are some, or grab the handout. I believe that was included in your reminder emails. Print that off, or just a plain old piece of paper, whatever you have handy, because there are going to be some really great messages and ideas that you're going to want to be sure to write down today. All
All
right.
right.
All right. Seriously, y'all, who knew? Who knew that the hardest part of being an adult was figuring out what to have for dinner every night for the rest of your life? Maybe there's people out there that are lucky that they've got somebody else in the house that cares more and is thinking about this more. But seriously, it's just even for those of us that love food, like Kristen and I, we're dietitians, we kind of love food. Uh, but it can be overwhelming. And that's why there's this whole presentation today. And then of course our meal planning course, because we want it to be easier for you. And we've got some good tips. So let's tune in. Let's find out where do we start?
So, today, what you will learn is how to get started, especially when you're feeling stuck. It's easy to get stuck in a rut. You feel like you're eating the same thing over and over again, or you just don't know what to eat. Like we said, when you have to decide what to eat every night, either for yourself or for everybody in your household, it's hard. And you get in those moments where it just isn't flowing. And so we've got some tips for you there. You'll learn how to put together balanced meals with a simple tool. You'll learn how to set yourself up for success in the kitchen. And we've got some bonuses. So you'll learn the key to sustainable meal planning, right? I don't know if you've dabbled in meal planning and prepping and trying to be on top of things and then fallen off. We've really discovered what that key is to making it work long term. And then a very special offer at the end for anybody who stays.
That's right. All right. So also just pop over in the comments section if you do have any questions. We'll be interacting with you guys in there, so you can chat with us throughout this presentation if you're watching live. Otherwise, you just get what you get. So there's a good little story just to get us started of a client who we're going to call Ted. And it was so fascinating because Ted was a case that, we worked together for some months, and Ted was doing all the quote right things, like keeping up with the food journal, writing down what he was eating, doing exercise. Really enjoyed like going on bike rides and swimming, and so Ted was really healthy, active person. But after a while, we figured out that it seemed that everything was going well except dinner time. And dinner was just kind of one of those like, well, it's just me, and I don't really have anybody else at the house to worry about. And I just do a bowl of cereal, or I'll just get some pizza, or pick up a burger on the way home, that kind of thing. And Ted eventually was tucked into joining our meal planning that works course. And he was so surprised. He's like, oh my gosh, there's these great videos that taught him how to cut up certain fruits and vegetables. So where he was really unsure of himself in the kitchen and how to prepare certain foods other than opening a package or opening a box. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm learning how to prepare and combine these different foods thanks to this course and having a lot of fun with it. So he went from really confused and kind of overwhelmed, and then throughout just playing in the kitchen more and trying out some new recipes from Living Plate, which was such a great tool, providing recipes and a grocery list that's curated for you. Then Ted felt so much more confident and even managed to lose the lingering weight that he couldn't lose before putting this meal planning into place. So pretty cool what can happen when we take the time to implement some of these lessons we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, that's a great way to emphasize the importance of mastering meal planning and getting in the kitchen. Getting in the kitchen more often and more consistently is one of the best things you could do for your health when you think about food as medicine and reaching your goals. And with that said, if you're brand new to meal planning or you're wanting to get back into it, just a reminder that we don't change overnight and we get a little bit better each day. So I can share a little bit about my story and how I have come to love and be very passionate about meal planning, because I didn't really have to worry about it when I was kind of a newlywed and it was just me and my husband. Then I had kids and dogs and all of a sudden, and work, and all of a sudden it's like 4 or 5 o'clock and I'm freaking out because I don't know how to feed my family, what I'm going to do. And it's always the hardest time of the day in general with emotions and stress. So I started slowly but surely planning ahead a little bit at a time. And that just started with, okay, instead of that 4 o'clock time frame to decide what to eat, I'm going to do that when I have my morning cup of coffee and things are a little calmer. And then I really it snowballed from there, and I found what worked for me, and it just kind of snowballed into this system that I can rely on over and over again to decrease the stress. So I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit about that, what system works for me and for other people who we have coached.
And it's not just one system, right?
No.
Personalized. Like what works for Kristen and her family of 4 is different than what works for the single guy that's just feeding himself, but it's still all applicable.
Absolutely.
So we want to hear from you guys. There's a little poll that we're going to pop up and find out. Oh, how important is meal planning to you? It'd be ironic if it's just not important at all. We just are glad you tuned in to hang out with us for your lunch hour. We are pretty darn fun. So is that gone live? I'm sorry, I can't even tell.
Yeah, it's live.
Okay, so you have to put down your forks and vote for which one. How important is meal planning to you? Let us know. They're not sure. Oh, but I like that. People want us to convince them. I'm in the business of people have already made up their minds. I'm just here to help you do the right thing based on what you already believe.
All right. Well, I think we can convince you, though, based on what we talk about today. I think planning is a really important piece. And trust me, I like to be spontaneous and be on the fly. And there's a way to plan and still have some spontaneity or flexibility. So very cool. I'm glad that everybody is kind of realizing that it could be pretty important. When we're getting started, it's the hardest part. So, in the season that you're in, ask yourself, what is working well? Or what worked in the past that might work now? Lucy, can you share your story about your season from when you kind of went from cooking for one to having to cook more food and what that looked like for you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, actually, so that one, when I was just cooking for myself, I was kind of one of those weekend warrior. I'd spend maybe 1 or 2 hours in the kitchen and just prep at least two, maybe three meals that were ready to go, and I could pull out and heat up and be done. So I didn't have to cook during the week. Uh, and that was fine. I'm the kind of person I can eat the same thing a few times and be perfectly happy about that. But then my very hungry husband moved in, and all of a sudden there were not that many leftovers. And so I got into more of a routine of cooking more frequently. And surprisingly, that was even more fun for me because I like to cook and play. So instead of making large batches where we'd have, 4 or 5 servings, then I'd make something where it's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to take half a pound of ground meat and we're going to do meatballs with it. And the other half, I'm going to do sloppy joes. And so it just ended up expanding my variety, where I didn't have that before, but also I had to like readjust my expectations of myself and learn that I'm cool to cook at the beginning of the week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but then by Thursday, Friday, I don't want to. So I had to really just figure out how to balance that energy so that I wasn't feeling frustrated by not having anything prepared or any good go-tos for those nights that I didn't want to cook.
Yeah, perfect. And another kind of season of life could be the season of the year, right? So, summertime, you're probably outside more, or it's hot and your appetite is a little low and you feel just like light and refreshing meals. Your food choices and your planning might need to be totally different in that season than maybe in a more structured fall season or predictable season. Maybe when you're just cooking for one or two versus when you're cooking for a family, those are other seasons. And kind of just giving yourself grace and realize that every season is a little different and we might need to change and figure out what's working well and stick with that rather than kind of following a meal plan or what's working for somebody else or what's worked in the past that might not be helpful anymore. So a good place that I like to start considering after looking at what your season looks like is what can I easily make now? I know you might be stuck in that rut, but get out, maybe you have an old binder or a cookbook or something to refresh your memories of all of the things that you've easily made in the past or that you've liked. And write those out. At the end of, well, I think I can share it now. Let me go ahead and share never mind. I just deleted it on accident. I will share with you a meal planning guide that has this handout if you want, but really just get a pen and paper and write down your favorite meals. Refresh what you already know. Also, you can ask yourself, what do I love? What do I really enjoy that maybe I haven't had in a while? What is abundant and delicious right now? This is one of our favorite ways to get inspired is looking either at the farmer's market or just the produce section when you go into a grocery store. It's going to be the things that are on sale and at their freshest are going to be right in your face as you walk in. So that is also a good place to start. Any other suggestions from you, Lucy, about where to get started?
Yeah, the saying the best time to buy a house was 2 years ago is in my mind because we're looking at houses. And it's like, well, if you don't already have these ideas in your mind, then the best time to get started is actually right now. So if you don't have the go-to list or you don't have the old cookbooks, then that's okay. Just start where you are. Take out that handy notebook I mentioned before and just jot down what ideas come to mind. I did prepare meals at Ronald McDonald House. And when I was there, I was trying to figure out what to cook for a lot of people. And it reminded me of some of my old family favorites where it's like, oh, yeah, breakfast for dinner. That might already be a go-to for you, but we can take those general ideas and then add variety to them. So instead of just eggs and bacon and toast, it's like, ooh, I'm going to make a frittata with some fresh vegetables. So start with just those initial ideas, and then we can get more variety within those ideas as we go on.
I love that. Thank you.
All right, so let's make it simple and balanced. It's funny. I didn't grow up eating hot dogs for dinner, but my husband loves them. And so every so often, like tonight, we're having hot dogs for dinner. And people think of these kinds of foods like mac and cheese or hot dogs or pizza, and they're like, that's not healthy. That's not balanced. I'm like, by themselves, I would say you're right. It's not balanced. But we can make any of our family favorite go-tos into this well-balanced plate. So when I make a meal, when I'm packing my lunch, still to this day, even though I've been teaching this for years, I go through my little checklist and it's like, okay, do I have protein? Check. Do I have whole grains or starchy vegetable? Do I have something colorful like fruit and or vegetable? And do I have a flavorful fat? And literally, we just try to keep it that simple. On the plate, of course, you'll see that big green section. We want to have half the plate with those colorful foods. But really just making sure that they're there on a consistent basis is a really good place to start. So it's like today, okay, so I've got my tuna that I'm going to mix with the rest of the already shredded, chopped up coleslaw and carrots. I'm going to throw in some salad dressing and or a little bit of mayonnaise to flavor it up. And then I'm going to have that with a slice of whole grain toast. And that covers all of my sections. We got the protein, tuna, we got the mayonnaise, flavorful fat, the colorful coleslaw mix, and my whole grain toast.
Yum.
Thanks. It's my favorite right now.
Yeah, so this is our tool, and I love it because, everybody is a little different. Lucy is a checklist person, and I'm very much an artsy visual person. So whatever way you want to look at this, these are the proponents and the general proportions you want to have on your plate. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, and everything doesn't have to be there all of the time. Every meal is an opportunity to create something balanced. So just think of it that way, that the closer you get to this, the more balanced, the more sustained energy and satisfaction and nutrition you're going to get from your meal. So not every meal has to be this perfect. Just the more you can do it, the better. And whether you're that visual person or that checklist person, we encourage you to think of your meals in this light. And when you have something like pizza, add these other things so that it can be balanced and you can still enjoy that pizza or those hot dogs.
Yep. Yeah, we're doing cucumbers on the side to have our colorful food and a peach and blueberry fruit salad.
Ooh, yum. Yeah. So I'm going to offer up in the chat if anybody has any questions about balancing meals. I know some of you have heard this before, some of you that are here, but if not, feel free to ask us any questions about this tool in the chat. And while I do, I'd love to build some of these well-balanced meals with you all. So let's start with a simple tomato chicken saute. right? Tomatoes are still in season and lovely right now. And I love one like skillet meals because it's an easy cleanup. And then we're going to add some Italian roasted broccoli, or you could steam this broccoli in the microwave or on top of the stove. It's just simple. You put a little bit of salt, a pepper, and maybe some Parmesan cheese. And then you get to enjoy that with your piece of crusty whole grain bread, maybe dipped in some olive oil, or you could choose butter. But you see we've got the protein, the produce, the whole grain or starchy vegetable, which is our complex carb, and flavorful fat. So that is a simple, delicious, and balanced meal. How about we do another one? Oh, we have a...
Yeah, I was just responding. We've got some comments wondering about these starchy vegetables we keep talking about.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. That's a good question. And hopefully these examples can give you further information on that.
Yeah, I love when people are always so surprised to find out that peas are, in fact, a starchy vegetable. Also, not a lot of people are out there eating peas, but since I have a 1-year-old, then I'm eating peas.
Yeah, or some people will say, I know it's not a vegetable. Well, it's still a vegetable. It's just
vegetable
in the starchy vegetable category, which gives you complex carbohydrates.
Yeah, I call it a twofer.
All right, here's another really great balanced option is some slow cooker pulled pork or pulled chicken, whichever. Seasoned up maybe with some barbecue sauce or a little bit of cumin and chili. And then you've got a simple coleslaw that is bright and colorful. And then you've got quick buttery red potatoes with the skin. I love these. And you can steam them. You can, of course, you could chop them if you want, but you can just steam them whole. And then your butter is your flavored fat. So again, you've got all of those components.
Butter, because butter makes it better.
Yeah, my rule with butters and saturated fats is just to choose quality, right? So good quality butter and enjoy it rather than going for maybe some margarine or another choice like that. And I'm going to move our faces really quick so you can see this one. Maybe. Settings. There we go. Okay. So for maybe you want a plant-based protein. So here's an option for that. Pecan crusted tofu. Yum. That sounds good to me. With a quick zucchini ratatouille. So just like a stir fry kind of meal. And then because the pecan crusted tofu will take a little bit of prep work, I always pick something that's a little easier as a side. So steamed fresh corn would be your complex carb. And you just steam it right there in the bag in the microwave. And for the fats, really it's going to be present in the pecans that are crusted on top of the tofu. And probably a little bit of olive oil from the zucchini ratatouille. So there you go. There's another well-balanced meal. I hope this helps you understand how the plate could look and the checklist works and how you can pull together it's like a plug-and-play system, right? I've got my protein, I've got the produce, and I've got a starchy vegetable. And if the fat isn't already within that, then you add the flavorful fat on top to tie it all together. These recipes, if you're wondering, are all part of an online meal planner that we use. It's called Living Plate. That's how we refer to it. But it is a way that we share recipes with our one-on-one clients and anybody who joins our Meal Planning That Works course, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
All right, so now's your chance. Let's get practical. If you haven't already, we want you to go ahead and write down some of those go-to dinner options. And now that we've reviewed the plate, if you've already written down some of the go-tos, like maybe it's a meat sauce, a pasta meat sauce, that's a pretty easy, quick go-to for families. And it does technically cover the plate, right? We've got the pasta as our carb, meat, protein. The sauce could be counted as that colorful part. But when I think about how to do those combination meals, I tend to think like, okay, what's the vast majority of this? And typically that's mostly the carb and the protein and maybe fat. So with that kind of meal, it's like, what's another colorful dish that I could add? You know, Kristen put that simple steamed broccoli as a great option. We still got zucchinis coming in, right? Maybe just some sauteed tomatoes that you throw on top for a little bit more pizzazz. So writing down your current go-tos and then writing down one way to make it even more balanced if it's not already. And go ahead and write down one new idea, whether from the list that Kristen just shared, or perhaps it's sparked an idea in your mind. And if you're feeling bold and want to share that, you can drop it in the chat box so that you can help inspire everybody else as well. Plus, for those of us having hot dogs for dinner, maybe it'll inspire us to have something a little more interesting tomorrow night. Good deal. Oh, and while we're waiting for all those amazing ideas that you're working on, just had to say quick shout out, happy birthday, Anne. Yay! We've got a birthday girl in the audience. So just had to sneak that in there.
Will had a question about veggie pasta or pasta made from other plants. I think that really all depends on what your goals are and how it fits within the meal. I think that there's nothing wrong with like a whole wheat pasta if your body tolerates that just fine. If you're maybe trying to get some more protein in, I think the chickpea or the lentil pasta provides a little bit more. And it's all about too what you like and what your body prefers. So if there's some reason that you're not able to do the whole wheat pasta, then you could try the other veggie pastas. But if there's no reason to switch to whole grain, it's not necessary.
Or switch away from whole grain.
Whole grain, yeah, sorry.
So the pastas, just so we can also add this on, the veggie pasta that you see at the store, it's like tomato or spinach or carrot.
Oh, yeah.
Those are actually just white pasta with a little bit of vegetable powder mixed in. So instead of buying what they call veggie pasta, which I call a wink and a nudge at a vegetable serving, we actually just encourage you to get the whole wheat pasta. And the trick of there is look at the ingredients. What's the first word of the first ingredient? Ideally, we want it to be the word whole versus enriched, which is typically what the veggie pastas are made out of if it's still with wheat. And then some of those other pastas that you'll find, because gluten-free is such a big movement right now, there's brown rice pasta, corn pasta, quinoa, and then a blend of those, like the cauliflower pasta that I've seen at Food Lion. A lot of those are still more along the lines of like a white enriched wheat pasta because they don't really have a lot of fiber or other nutrients. So from the well-balanced perspective, we love fiber for so many reasons.
Yes.
And we really encourage you to choose the pastas or other grains and other starchy options that are going to include more of that fiber that are in their whole form. It's totally fine to eat corn. You know, I have corn on the cob this time of year every year because it's so good. But you know, in terms of just eating the corn pasta instead of the wheat pasta, you're not really getting more benefits from that. It was a long answer.
No, but that was all good. Hopefully that helps Will. So now is our chance. I hope you're still writing down some ideas and notes, but to tell you a little bit about meal planning that works. This is a course that we have created and perfected over the last couple years that help people get out of a rut, help people make a planning system work for them that'll save them time and money, and to finally start cooking more often without the stress and the overwhelm. And if today feels a little overwhelming and like you need more ideas, you need more strategies, then you're definitely going to want to stick around and find out more. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move on to our key.
Our big key.
Our key to long-term sustainable meal planning.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to keep coming back to this. You got to be flexible. I have lots of clients that I've seen, not lots, I have a handful of people that I've seen that were so great when they were meal planning for Whole30 or meal planning for keto or meal planning for whatever specific short-term diet or change that they made. And then, life happened and they kind of just found themselves going back into what I call default mode. Because instead of being flexible with that plan and saying like, okay, well, maybe I can't be quite so strict with my diet, but I can still make dinner for my family instead of just driving through the takeout by choosing healthy, quick options or whatever the season, as we started with, might bring. It's so important to give ourselves grace when we're not going to be able to do it to a T. And that's what's really great about the meal planning that works is it's not like, oh, well, if you can't cook dinner every night, then you're just out of luck. It's like, no, we're going to come up with a system. Like if you only want to cook 2 nights a week, that's fine. Let's create a system that works so that then you still have ideas and easy things for the rest of the week.
Absolutely. I learned a while ago that, searching the internet for the perfect meal planning tool is that we really have to first know ourselves and then know which strategies are going to work for us and be flexible. Like when we say, I'm having this on Monday, I'm having this on Tuesday, I'm having this on Wednesday, that doesn't leave a lot of flexibility for us unless we've really looked at our calendar. We've decided that this is going to be efficient on this day because we've got a busy day planned. But if we're not flexible with our execution and our planning and our meals, then it's easy to get into that all or nothing pattern. Like Lucy said, I'm all keto or I'm not, or I'm all healthy, completely well-balanced meals or not, right? That's why we emphasize it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to get done, and it has to, the idea is to get better and better each time.
All right. Another chance to get practical here. And I think there's a poll that goes with this, but just for a moment, take a moment and consider what is the most difficult part of meal planning for you. For some of us, myself is one of them, coming up with the ideas is easy peasy. But for other people, it's like, I don't even know where to start. I do love the grocery store, but sometimes you just don't really feel like going. So maybe that's the hard part. Maybe it's just spending the time in the kitchen or not having the right tools. But thinking about the whole process, what part seems to be the stickiest for you?
And share that in the comments if you would, because that'll help all of us. Because meal planning, this is all about meal planning, but of course, meal planning is just the first step, and it's the execution, and like Lucy said, the grocery store. So what in the entire process for you is the hardest? I'd love for you to share.
Like this last part too, who is on the team? Like, are you just trying to fly solo? Oh, Nicole said sticking to the plan or the meal. Oh, so Nicole's got sorry, that doesn't say.
I think it is. Is it Nicole?
But anyhow, it's sticking with it that can be hard. Like you don't necessarily want what you planned that day. Oh, now you guys are really letting us know. We should have started with this.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, yeah, it is supposed to be Nicole.
Okay. Yeah, 3 different palettes, right? That's challenging. Pre-planning grocery store visits to get all the. I'm with you, Kendra. It's helpful for people that don't need to follow a recipe because it's like, oh, well, I forgot the garlic powder. Guess I'm just going to use a little extra onion powder and call it a day. But that can be really tricky and frustrating when you get home and realize you forgot one of the most important ingredients, whatever it might be. This one.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned in terms of flexibility is to realize we don't have to follow a recipe to a T unless we're baking. Baking is kind of more of a science. Cooking, there's substitutions, there's ways around it. And one of the things in the Meal Planning That Works course is a guide to cooking substitutions. So if you get home from the store and you realize, oh, I don't have that, or you find a really good recipe, and you're like, oh, but this has this weird ingredient, you'll learn some food swaps that you can just have on hand and be able to improvise.
Yeah.
Wanting to meal plan for one on a consistent basis. I hear ya.
I understand. Yeah, it's like all of these different issues, right? Like not everybody has the same thing going on. Don's not sure what you want to eat. And it's like that. It's just figuring out, okay, what's the sticky part for me? And then knowing that there are the tools and so it's the inspiration from Living Plate, or finding another place for inspiration, and then having more flexibility for when it's like, okay, maybe I don't want the thing I planned. What are my good go-tos instead? Oh my gosh, seriously, everybody, stop whatever else you're multitasking with right now. This is my favorite part of the whole presentation.
Well, I think for many of the issues that you all listed, setting yourself up for success is going to be one major step in the right direction. So having a kitchen that is built and is going to be your friend for whether you planned or you got to pull something together on the whim, or your plan fell through, or you forgot something at the grocery store, or whatever the issue is, I've learned that working smarter, not harder in the kitchen is really a huge help. So there's 4 things that I'm going to share with you. And the first is absolutely stock up on healthy basics. Not only does this make your regular grocery store visits easier and shorter for those people who don't love to go to the grocery store, if you have a good stock at home, then you're not having to get all of the things every single time. Another reason to stock up is because, it's good to have a plan, but it's also good to have a plan B and C, having backup plans. Or if you decide, I just want to cook 2 days a week, then you've got to have some other quick, healthy options for those other times. So freezer staples, things that you can go to in the freezer are really important. Things like vegetables that are easy to steam, broccoli, green beans, proteins that are easy to use, like meatballs. I love to have meatballs all the time. Fish is an easy thing to keep in the freezer and pull out. Shrimp or a fillet, whatever that might be. Marinated chicken breasts or chicken thighs are another great thing to keep in the freezer. And then there's other little freezer hacks, like those little frozen cubes of herbs that you can pull out if you didn't see any fresh cilantro at the store, but you need it for your recipe. Pantry basics, things like your whole grains, your beans, your rice, whatever that might be. We have an entire stock up your kitchen list for you in the guide that you will get either at the end of this, or we'll email it out if I can't get it that quickly. But if you're like, what do I stock up on? We got you. I've got a list. I'm also big on shortcuts. So I love, for instance, when I have the time to cut up a butternut squash. But it's also a bit of a beast to do and takes time. So I love being able to rely on pre-chopped butternut squash. Or, it is great to soak your beans from scratch and have that throughout the week. But nothing wrong with your pantry being full of canned beans that are quick and easy to get to. So I like a mixture of both, right? When we have the time and the energy, go for the fresh, but don't be afraid to keep lots of shortcuts around for times that you need them. Mm-hmm. Getting the right gear is also super important. I'm a big fan of a really sharp chef's knife. It's my best friend in the kitchen. Lucy's a big fan of a mandolin. So whatever you use to chop quickly, you want it to work well for you. Now, I grew up, my mom didn't have a sharp knife, so I had to learn from a chef friend of mine my knife skills and how important a really good sharp knife is. So if you're wanting to eat more at home and you're trying to chop vegetables with an old steak knife, don't do that. Get yourself a nice chef's knife. Okay, off my pedestal, or off my
soapbox
rant there. Also, some other good gear that you might need is like a nonstick pan, a good pot that you can go to. And I have really encouraged like a minimalist approach to this. And I have my favorites gear listed, and something that you get if you sign up for the Meal Planning That Works course, you will get my list of kitchen gear that I love, direct with the links to Amazon if you want them. So try to declutter the extras and keep things that you don't use very often in a different area that frees up your working space. All right, number 3. This is a really cool one that Lucy always geeks out about when I talk about it, is move in a triangle. So picture yourself in your kitchen right now. You've got a countertop in front of you, and you're ready to prep. You're ready to chop some vegetables. Maybe you're making a soup. And what you want to do is set up everything you need in that triangle of space. This is what professional chefs do. And even when people build their kitchens, they think about this. So you're going to want your knife, your cutting boards in the drawers, your measuring cups, your bowls, everything you're going to need in that prep station so that you're not having to run across the kitchen or move anywhere. Now, for me, my chopping station is in one area and my trash can is in another, but I don't want to have to be moving back and forth, so I can set up a trash bowl so that I can just empty the trash as I go instead of having to move out of my triangle. You can think about this in your cooking station as well. By your stove, for instance, make sure you have your oils, your spices, your pots and pans, your utensils, anything you might need for a quick cooking, whatever you're cooking, keep it in that space, that triangle. And if your kitchen is small or it's just not set up this way, then it's really important to get everything in place ahead of time. This is called mise en place in French. So act like you're on a cooking show, right? They make it look so easy because everything is already there and ready, and they just kind of. So do that. Pretend you're on a cooking show, get everything in, look all the way through the recipe, get out everything you need, and then begin. I promise this extra step is going to make things go really smoothly. And it might seem obvious, but I didn't always do this. And then I would find myself halfway in the middle of a recipe and not have what I need and kind of freak out. So I feel like I moved really quickly through those 4 things. Let me know if you have any questions. I don't have a favorite brand of knife, Nicole. I think there's a lot of good chef options out there, chef knife options. You can go to any department store and get a really good one. Do you have a favorite brand?
No, I will say most important is no matter how awesome the knife is when you first get it,
Keep
like
it
my
sharp.
favorite college knife, yeah, like you got to keep it sharpened, and they have the like the honing stick or whatever, and that's great for just kind of a day-to-day or week-to-week sharpening. But eventually, like where we're at with our knives at home, is we got to get them professionally sharpened. And I wish I could tell you I knew exactly where to take them for that. But that is just a part of having a good knife, is buying one that's maybe a little bit more expensive. Maybe it's 50 or $60, and then knowing it's going to be awesome. And maybe in the next 5 or so years, you'll just need to get it sharpened.
Yeah, sometimes they have like tents set outside of grocery stores with professional sharpening. And I also asked for Christmas and got it one year, just a machine that you can put in and sharpen your knife. Also, anybody in Durham, what is that Surla table?
Oh, they're totally closed down.
Oh, darn. They
Yeah.
had good knives and they would sharpen them for you.
Yeah. They did not survive the vid.
Bummer.
What do we do now? Oh my gosh. So if you were following along, we just gave you a whole lot of ideas. The big reminders are, okay, we need to start with what's familiar, starting with your list, and then figuring out, okay, step 2, can I make this even more simple and balanced? And then finally, it's setting ourselves up for success in the kitchen. And that's a lot of stuff, right? So right now, knowing that there's just one next best step, and whatever that is, we really encourage you to write it down, because that's the magic power of pen to paper. Or even if you just put it on your little checklist on your phone, that's fine too. But perhaps the next step is that you're like, this is great, but man, I need a little bit more support. Knowing just, okay, where do I curate these ideas, and how can I simplify that process in the kitchen, and make it more of a habit? So that might be where you want to really start to consider looking into meal planning that works. Oh, good. William Sonoma. Oh, and Ace. Thanks, Will. Those are both really close by. I'm in South Durham. Cool. Do you have something to add to that, Kristen?
No, just thank you for that summary. And, no matter where you're at in this process, I think that those 3 steps can be really helpful in, starting to think about a meal planning system that you create just for you that is going to keep you on the right track. Just remembering to be flexible and doing those 3 things. And whatever the next best step for you, we're here for you to support you, whether you want a one-on-one or we'd love for you to join the course. There's a ton of information there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that right now. So Meal Planning That Works is going to show you how to plan in a flexible way, master cooking techniques that every home cook should know, apply efficient strategies that save you time and money, demystify preparation of challenging foods, think butternut squash or cauliflower rice or collard greens, we've got videos and help with those kind of things that you might not have explored so far, and you want more information on that. And it reduced frustration during meal preparation. Like I said, it goes beyond the meal plan. It also, we help you think about and give you efficient recipes, efficient tools, things to think about to make your meal prep smooth and as stress-free as possible. So for those of you who aren't really doing a plan, you might relate to Karen. She went through the course and now she says, I actually plan my food and I don't go to the grocery store unless I have my plan. And going for a real purpose instead of just whatever I feel like eating. And through the course, I found out I do like cooking and I can cook for one. So we're really happy that she figured out a plan that worked for herself and no longer is just winging it at the store, which wasn't really working for her. And she really found some enjoyment and flavorful meals that she could make for herself. Or maybe you can relate to Isabel. She is 3 weeks in and hooked after week number 1. She's been cooking new and wonderful spices, and she's stocked up her pantry with essential ingredients like beans, grains, and healthy oils. She's also been introduced to new vegetables that she hasn't tried before. And lastly, maybe you are interested in meal planning for health reasons. Bill found that the course really helped control blood sugars with the types of recipes and the balanced meals that he was implementing. And he's doing more of his own cooking and really enjoying the great tasting food. And his meal prep knowledge is significantly enhanced. And then Susan really loved the fact that we have quick dinners, and she was able to watch one of the modules and pull together this quick barbecue dinner without having to go to the grocery store because she had those things on hand. So she was really delighted about that. So if you are finding that you want lots of quick recipes, balanced meals, techniques and cooking demos and tips that are going to help you become a better home chef, then I really want you to consider meal planning that works. Here's everything that you get. It's a 10-week course, cooking demos and recipes, strategy lessons that will change the way you think about planning and cooking, and lots of practical resources, cheat sheets, and suggested recipes to try each week. Now, this all is valued at $300. That's not what we're going to ask you for, and there's even more. So it does include a 15 to 20 minute coaching session with one of us. So if you find that you just need a little bit of personal direction, whether that's before you start or at the end of the course, then you can have that one-on-one time with one of us. You're also going to learn a ton of videos to learn about knife skills and prepping certain more whole foods and more vegetables and tasty foods. And you can access the course anywhere, so on your phone, on your computer, or your tablet. We have 2 really exciting bonuses that are also included. The first is a 1-year access or subscription to our dynamic meal planner. We've mentioned it, the Living Plate Planner allows you to personalize your plan completely and find even more great recipes, create a grocery list in an instant, and as a bonus right now, you get this as part of your course for an entire year, and that's a $228 value. Bonus number 2 is a 1-year membership to our VIP community, the Insiders. This is where you can get exclusive office hours and small group coaching sessions. a library of nutrition lessons on heart health, the food and mood connection, body positivity, and more. You get access to expert interviews in the wellness field, things like meditation and physical therapy. We give out weekly recipe suggestions and do a lot of fun group challenges. So it's a great community to be a part of, and that is valued at $99. So if you want a step-by-step guide designed to help you learn to cook delicious meals in a flash, save money, use fast strategies for busy nights, meet your health goals, and enjoy satisfying homemade meals, then we invite you to join the Meal Planning That Works course. It's valued at $627, but we have a very special offer for you. Normally we asked $249, but right now you get those two bonuses and $50 off if you use the code FALL50OFF. Oops, and
I just made it public. Now it's official, y'all. It should have popped up in your offers. Meal Planning That Works. And don't forget to use that code. I'll put it in the chat box just so you have it there. So, for anybody that's like, I don't know, this sounds great, but is it going to meet my needs? Is this really what I'm looking for? Like, I bought a course from somebody that I had followed on YouTube for a while, and she did these videos all about tracking your cycle. And so I was like, cool, that sounds great. And her videos were really helpful, informative. And so I signed up for her course. And then she sent these really lengthy emails, like so long, y'all, so long, the emails. Ridiculous. And I was like, where's the videos? Because there was no videos. It was just words upon words upon words. And I didn't get anything out of it because I didn't follow. It was complicated. Anyhow, all that to say, first of all, this course is done in really fantastic, bite-sized, easy to follow steps. So Kristen walked me through all the amazing changes she's made for this round. And so it's really great to follow. Like she said, you can do it on any of your devices. So maybe you're just like sitting in the school line waiting for your kid to get out of whatever, and you can just hop on your phone and do part of a course. Watch one of the videos. They're only going to be 5 or so minutes each, but you're going to get those nuggets. And then when you're able to, you can go back and watch it again because you have lifetime access, and then really absorb it and take it into the kitchen with you. So this is also money back guaranteed, right? So for the first 21 days, if you're like, this really didn't meet my expectations, it's not really working, then that's fine. It doesn't hurt our feelings. Maybe you just need a different tool, and hopefully we can help you with that. But in the meantime, if you're just thinking about it and you're like, I don't know, but I really kind of curious, then go ahead and take this offer and take us up on it. And if it doesn't meet your needs, let us know, and we'll give you that money back. One-on-one. Good question. We are definitely accepting new clients. So anybody that's wants to explore this, but then maybe also needs that ongoing accountability and support, we are here for you. And we are in network with a few different insurance companies. And then we've got out-of-pocket fees as well. So we would actually encourage you, instead of talking about prices, we would love for you to just set up a clarity call with us. And that is totally free of charge. So how about we'll drop our scheduling link. Would that work in here? And that way you can just hop online and schedule a call with either one of us. Any other questions? Let us know. Are you doing the link? Okay.
Yeah, so I can do it real quick.
I just did. All right, so let's do this, y'all. Hopefully, you guys pulled lots and lots of ideas for delicious meals and ways to simplify and balance out your meal planning system. We are here for you, and you'll be getting a follow-up email with this offer. If you have any questions to that, then you can just respond to that email, and we will gladly answer those questions. And if you just want to set up some time to chat with either one of us, then you can follow that link, Well Balanced Nutrition /contact/us or -us. And we're just so grateful that you took some time to take care of yourselves today. You are amazing. Don't you forget it. And as always, keep on enjoying the journey.
Thanks for attending today. I can't wait to see what you take away from this and you go play in the kitchen and get some yummy meals made for you or your family. Take care.